Well, welcome back to the shed, Glenn. We've got another guest waiting outside.
Yeah.
How about I go grab him and we'll introduce him.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to the shed.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Space.
You're already here.
Cool.
I've got you in pew number 2.
Thank you.
I'm Glenn.
Hey, Glenn.
And Jason.
Who's Ted?
My dad.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's passed away about 6.5, 7 years ago, and he was a guy that would help out in the community in Goodna. I grew up in Goodna, and he was just, I said to Jason, we said this previously, at his funeral, I met people I didn't even know that come up and said thank you to me.
Wow.
So yeah, he's just a really good guy, and so we built this space, and it's a space for us to catch up with our mates and whoever and talk about things and just what guys don't do, and it just helps with mental health and all that stuff. So that's why we created it.
What a beautiful tribute.
Yeah, it is, and it's a great space.
Yeah, it's a really good space.
Summer where the roller door goes up in that outdoor area and it becomes like a bit of a beer garden, and once we're dodging around COVID and getting people into the space, So there's sometimes I think we had some events here and we go like 4 o'clock, everyone's got to be out and home and go, 'cause
COVID
lockdown's happening, right? So it was. Yeah, I think someone's birthday party got cancelled at a local venue.
Okay.
Because of those impending restrictions, so we all came here and had a quiet drink and celebrated. But yeah, it's a great space.
Yeah, speaking of drinks, would you like a drink?
I'd love a water.
Water, yeah,
Amazing.
absolutely, mate. No worries. Jace,
I'll have the usual, thanks, mate.
Pepsi Max.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm off the drink this week too.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a break.
Wow.
Yeah, even though I own
The
a
wallet
bar,
taking a hit, mate.
No, it's not that. I think it's just you get to a point where you go, I probably don't need to
Too much.
have a beer every second night.
Yeah. It's tough when it's on tap here too, because every time
True.
we drop around and do something, there's the
Ted Shed Brew.
fridge is there, but there's also
thank
two
you.
beers on tap. So normally when we're in here recording, Glenn's just chatting.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch an unedited clip, it's
I'll
just
have 6 beers.
yeah.
So Nick, what are you about? What do you do?
So I was just walking past and thought I'd drop into the Ted Shed. It's good friendly service. And want to know the story behind Ted.
Nice.
And maybe a little thing in common is like you guys had a mate in high school called Lucas and had an idea which was to provide hygiene services for people doing it tough. So I was fortunate enough growing up here in Brizzy that our school that Lucas and I went to had a food van that went out and fed people doing it tough, and we sort of enjoyed hanging out on that, and we left school and wanted to still give back, so had that idea of hygiene services, and Lucas and I sort of conjured up a bit of a plan to put some washing machines and dryers in a van and drive around and wash and dry clothes for free.
All off your own back?
Yeah, like we,
That's amazing. Well done, first of all. Yeah. And then did you fund that yourself?
Yeah, we did. We had an old van, and like any good sort of idea, you're sitting around a cafe, and we're like, we need a van, we need some washing machines.
Yeah.
We sort of convinced this company to give us washing machines.
Okay. Yep.
But also we're always like on the back foot. So I can remember having my dream job at that time, and coming home and saying, Mum around the table, Lucas and I are going to start this free mobile laundry, and she was like, Nick, how about you start washing your own clothes?
Your mum probably thought, hang on, this is a great idea.
Yeah.
You're going to go out and collect people's washing, and you're going to bring it around for me to do.
That's it. Yeah,
That's amazing.
We're rookies from day one, but both all our parents have been a massive part of Orange Sky, and we've learnt a lot since then.
Of course. How long have you been doing it?
So we're coming up to 7 years. So
7 years.
October 10, World Homelessness Day. We'll turn 7 this year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And so from the operation back from concept to where it is now, it must have been a pretty wild ride.
Yeah, we've got an amazing team, and our mission now at Orange Sky is to positively connect communities, and how we do that is through our vans that have laundries and showers on board, but most importantly sort of through 3 parts of our community. So the friends, so the people who trust us with their only possessions and trust us to sit down and have a chat while the washing's on.
Yeah.
The volunteers who run our service, but also especially through COVID, a reminder that volunteers aren't immune to loneliness or isolation or disconnection.
Yeah.
And then our donors. So without our donors and people believing in what we do, we couldn't operate being a not-for-profit, and those three communities coming together are all equally as powerful and important. So, when we started, we thought it was about, Lucas and Nick going out and providing laundry, but what it's about is actually people going out, providing a space to sit down and connect, and whether that be a donor who funds it or a friend who trusts us with their only possessions, that community is so special that comes together.
That's amazing, mate. Good on you. Is it just in Queensland, or are you abroad, like through other states, or where do you do it?
Yeah, so we're all around Australia and New Zealand now.
Are you really?
Yeah, so we've got a couple vans. So we've got 33 vans that go from all the way in Cape York in Queensland down to Hobart, and then around and through SA and the NT, and then we've got vans in Auckland and Wellington, and this week we're actually sending our third vehicle over to New Zealand to help out over there.
That's insane, man. I'm getting goosebumps. That's seriously, that is awesome.
I've known Nick a little while.
Yeah,
so
I remember we've spoken
we did some stuff together a while back.
Yeah.
And I think last time we spoke, I was down in Sydney for work, and I like to explore cities and that, and I just thought, I'm going to walk from the city to Central Station. I've walked and gone through a park, and there's an Orange Sky van and all these people, and it was like a little community hub, and I was just going, wow, seeing it, at head office is one thing, how behind the scenes and how you fit out vans and stuff, but then seeing it in the community and functioning.
And working.
Yeah, you just turn around and just go, wow.
Do you get out much, Nick?
Absolutely. One of our values is believes in what we do, and
of course,
being out on shift last week and seeing the service and seeing the sort of new ideas that we're launching is really special. But,
so you're doing showers as well?
Yep. So predominantly laundry and showers.
Laundry and showers. Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah, and it was actually out on shift twice last week, and one to a shift I've never been before in Beenleigh, and a volunteer there who lives over in the Bayside, drives an hour and 15 minutes to go on that shift, and I was sort of like, why would you choose this Beenleigh shift on a Thursday night that finishes at she would have got home at 10:30, and she was like, actually I grew up just around the corner, and I grew up coming down here for a feed. So her opportunity to give back to the community was really special, but also just a reminder of how generous people are. So going out on shift regularly really centres me, but also it's not just about being out on shift. It's about connecting with our supporters and so many people. So even just being at the petrol station on Friday, there was someone else wearing a Sudsy Challenge t-shirt, and I was like, oh, cool shirt, and like, yeah, I'm fundraising for this charity for the next 3 days. It's like, me too.
That's amazing, and that's humbling for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're having a chat with that person who's doing the same thing. They obviously don't know who you are.
Yeah.
But they're just connecting with you because of that.
For sure.
You're both going, hey, we're doing something for the community.
But it's become a big thing, right? Because even my kids at school, and social media posts, schools putting out the Sudsy Challenge and stuff like that. So you must be really proud to see that it's gone from those early days to now that it's so many communities getting involved and it's out there. It must be, like Glenn said, it must be really humbling just to see what you're achieving.
Yeah, and I think it's the power of community. Like the 116,000 people are homeless in Australia, so per capita that's 1 in 200 people. We've got 2,500 volunteers that go out. About to click over 1.6 million kilos of free laundry, and that's not me or that's not Lucas. That's thousands of people every week participating in something that's sort of greater than all of us. And I think that's the special thing is that we've just found a really simple way for people to come together, like at a bar, and connect.
Yeah, how did you take it from an idea? Right, because when you think about it, I mean, I guess one of the things that I would probably think of is what you're doing is very unique, right? Like this whole concept of taking laundry to the community. Do you think a part of why Orange Sky is so successful, and like if you just mentioned Orange Sky, people know what it is, right? It's like that brand awareness is pretty incredible. Like, so the cut through and the impact that you've had in the community. Do you think that's because what you do is unique? It's like if you had like op shops or other charities that just do clothing, there's a lot of those, right? And some come to mind, but is it what you do is so unique that that's how you've cut through to become, so well known?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably smarter people out there that could probably research the reason why. I think from our perspective, it's definitely not because of our talent or our the idea per se. I think it's about the success of Orange Sky is believing in what we do, and people find that way, and whether that be that homelessness is incredibly complex, and like I said, 1 in 200 people have been homeless at a point in time. So there might be someone out there who who has experienced homelessness, but I think what brings the majority of people together at Orange Sky is this notion of hygiene, which we all have a level of exposure to, and then also human connection in a sense that we're all born and the majority of us are communicated with, so the longing for communication is really special. And I think that's something that COVID has reminded the world globally of, is the importance of hygiene and human connection, and not being able to see a loved one. COVID has been an opportunity for everyone to empathise with that reality that a lot of people who are out there who are disconnected have to face on any given night. So I'm not 100% sure the success of Orange Sky is linked to that, but I think it's a series of opportunities that people have gifted us with their trust, and then I think it's also the simplicity of Orange Sky is that homelessness is complex. Washing clothes can be made complex, but it's quite simple. But most importantly, the opportunity to have a chat's pretty bloody easy. So our volunteers aren't social workers, or they're not trying to preach anything or teach anything or fix anything. They're just there to have a chat. And that's I know Lucas is one of his favourite moments at Orange Sky is people say, well, how do you train your volunteers? So when our volunteers come in for training, the first thing we say to them to do is to turn to the person beside them and have a chat. And it's like, what we're doing isn't rocket science. It's what we do every day.
That's right.
So, and you've got, because you talk about training, you'd obviously want like dosages and the process of the washing, right, consistent, right? So you've got a level of automation or dosing, etc., like that in those vans. So it's throw the clothes in and just go cycle, right? And it doses, and so they don't have to worry about that. They can focus on that conversation while your van's doing the job. Is that how it works?
And I think like curating that experience is one that we are always looking at evolving at Orange Sky. So when we started, we found it awkward that we didn't know how much washing powder to put in. And,
you guys weren't washing at home,
and people, Mum, and people would bring down their own like herbs and spices, and oh shit, or can you put that in? And so we thought, well, how do we, provide a really consistent service? We definitely have an auto dosing system that helps us do, batch control and make sure that we are putting the right amount of washing detergent into the machine. And then we also have different ways.
So you don't want it too sudsy.
That's it. But also simple things around, what a volunteer's there to do is to provide a level of connection. And if that's the volunteer rocking up and just having a chat and not even touching a washing machine, or a volunteer pulling out the hoses and stealing water from the council and doing all of those sorts of things can be their job.
I guess into the fire hydrant.
That's
I got this.
Yeah, that's amazing. I guess your volunteers, like to turn up and meet people and not have judgment is probably the biggest thing. Do you know what I mean? Like. Yeah, and I guess they're probably volunteering because they want to connect with the community, but it's finding the right volunteers to make your brand a success.
Yeah, and I can hear the Troopies fan belt going outside. So that's what's distracting me. So sorry.
That's okay. I was wondering what that was.
Oh my god!
It's a professional studio.
It's either Gambino or the Troopy interrupting the time.
Or the kids.
I'm waiting for one of the kids to bang on the door.
Sorry, I completely forgot the question, which was...
Sorry. So finding the right volunteers and how do they turn up and not have judgment? Do like that would be hard, like someone approaches you and you're thinking, oh God, how can I help this person and not have judgment on their situation? Yeah,
like our values around being genuine and non-judgmental, but I also think, a good mentor of mine speaks about like the biases and judgment that show up in life. And I think, being a volunteer at Orange Sky, yes, you are giving of your time, but also the reason that you're there is that you're getting a lot in return, and whether that be perspective or an opportunity to learn, but also an opportunity to challenge those stereotypes. And I think that's something that's really important at Orange Sky, is that I too have challenged the stereotypes and stigmas that I had prior and still current in my life, and even seeing my own father, who has been on that Orange Sky journey, grow and evolve, and challenge his judgments has been really special.
Yeah.
So, I think there's always this balance at Orange Sky that, we want to keep people safe, we want to make sure that we are delivering our mission, but the continuum of what that looks like is actually quite murky, and I think leaning into that is quite special, is that, we've had volunteers that are incredibly introverted and actually don't get out of the house, and they start volunteering because they want an opportunity to go and talk to someone.
Wow.
And on its surface, we sort of say, if you're good at conversations, come and join Orange Sky. And actually, that's not true. It's around, if you've got some time, if you really want to give back to your community, come to Orange Sky. Whatever way you can contribute, hopefully we can foster that.
Yeah. And how do people get in contact with you? Say if Jason and I go, right, we want to get involved, or people watching at home go, we want to go and do that. How do we get in contact, Nick?
Yeah, our website, orangesky.org. You can learn stories about people we help every day. You can register to volunteer, and you can find out ways to support Orange Sky.
That's awesome.
One of the things I'm proud about on our website at Orange Sky is that up the top there's stories, and that's sort of what Orange Sky is all about. Is yes, we've got fancy vans, and we've got millions of dollars worth of donations every year now.
Yep.
But at its centre, what it comes back to is everyday people connecting and learning, and hopefully we can tell that through those stories.
Yeah, and I guess the bigger end of town, or the top end of town, that are donating to you, because you're not going to small business, and I guess some small business would, but you probably get most of your funding from the higher end side of town, would you say?
No, and I think that's something that we're really proud of. Is that we have sort of 3 key revenue streams at Orange Sky, and of those 3 percentages, one of them is general donations.
Is it really?
Everyday people jumping onto our website and donating. Or smaller businesses, and
that's amazing.
And I think we're really proud of that, because what we know is that a school talking about Orange Sky, or a group of friends getting together and fundraising. My partner and her friends got together and had 3 days of conversations for the first Sudsy Challenge, and that idea of anyone being able to contribute, no matter how big or small, is really special. We tracked down a donor about 2 years ago who, for the first couple of years of Orange Sky, and still does, gave us $1 a week from her pension, and
wow.
Like that. That sort of $52 a year is very special to us, and it's big to us, but on a financial lens, it may not be as big as our biggest donation, and I think that's sort of the real purpose of Orange Sky, is making people be powerful, and that is through any way of contributing.
Yeah, right. That's amazing.
It is pretty incredible.
Well done, mate. Yeah. It's really cool to hear the story and the backside of it that people don't understand, and that's probably what we're trying to get across to people, is this is how it started. This is what Nick's vision was. And you spoke before about being at school with the van. I guess it was like a kitchen that went out and fed homeless people or people that were in need. That was one school. Your brand is now in so many schools. You're inspiring a lot of kids that were your age 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's like...
to look the other side of that in the community and not judge people and try and help.
The same, like her school recently did something at Goodna, and there was an Orange Sky van there. She came home and she goes, "Dad, the van was there."
That's great.
But there was a few other, groups of charities, and they got together, but they all got, bussed down there, and they were all, the school community was handing out, and dishing out the food and stuff. But so they were exposed to all of those other charities in the community.
Yeah, but 10 years ago, I guess there wouldn't be many schools doing soup, or like a soup kitchen van. Was it? Or
yeah, like I don't think our school is unique. I think
really?
There's 54,000 charities in Australia, and a fact that I heard once when we got into this not-for-profit space was that there are more charities for kids with cancer than there were kids with cancer, and I think that's always stuck with me, because maybe there's some right or wrong stuff about that, but I think what I've taken from it is that as a country we love helping, and if one of our friends gets sick, or someone at work they get sick, or there's something wrong, I think as a country we want to help. The first thing that people say when they hear about Orange Sky is, how can I help? And how can I do that? And I think as a country, that's very special. And I think what we've just found a way to do is at Orange Sky is harness that support. And I think there's so many remarkable people out there in the community that are doing amazing things. And our school was unique in a sense, maybe that it delivered a food van, but I think so many forms of parenting and education come back to wanting to help people, and I think that's something special. And I think sometimes it's almost made to by supporting being something that's exclusive or something on top, and I think actually entrenching it into it's part of human nature to help someone else, and there's so many different forms of doing that.
Yeah, amazing. So you said you grew up in Brisbane and went to school. What school did you go to?
So we went to Terrace, which is a boys' school in Brisbane, and I think that's why I sort of always unpack that, is that I think a private, privileged boys' school is seen to be like, oh well, of course you can help, and I think they should help, and is absolutely an obligation to. But some of the most generous schools that have supported Orange Sky are the smallest ones that you would have never heard of, and I think that it's really important to level that story, is that we can all help in different ways.
Yeah, that's a big thing, and COVID's taught the general public that, hasn't it? I remember back in 2011 when we went through floods in Brisbane, that the community spirit that came out then was massive, and I think it would have been lost a little bit prior to that. I was involved with an organisation called Apex for a little while, and they used to have 40, 50 members in Ipswich. We had 6, because as time went on, people got busier, technology got involved, people were too busy to donate. Then when the floods happened, all these people were coming out from everywhere, and I think that was a start of the community reconnecting. In Brisbane, definitely I seen that, and it was really nice. Apex didn't last, but there are other things that you can put yourself into if you want to. It doesn't have to. It can be one day a month.
After the floods, I think there was the volunteer services and that for emergency services and things like that really went through the roof. A lot of people, but like you and I said, well, we were out early because it's our community here, and we're fortunate enough
that. Man. I grew up in Goodna.
Yeah, we were given a fire hose by the fireys, and a spigot to go into the points and that. And this is like 3 days before the Mud Army and that came in. So as a group of us got together and some utes and stuff, and we just went around and helping people, just driving around going, do you need a hand with anything? People are like, oh, can we just get this out? And we found ourselves at Caroline. In fact, there was amazing things that stick with you though. There's a fridge stuck in a door, right? Not jammed at ground level. It was up at the top where it had been floating through the house, and as the water subsided, it's wedged itself. So this thing is, you had to sort of go under it to get into the room. And we had the fire hoses, and we were blasting mud out, and the mud was thick through these things, and then a couple of days after that, the Mud Army mobilised.
Well, that takes a couple of days.
And came through, but just going through in those early days, just like after the water had just subsided, the things that stick with you, the stench, but it wasn't just us out there. We were just a couple of guys that got together. There's so many other people just came out and just said, "Can we help?"
It's good, hey? It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
it's really good to see.
I think that's just how you, tap into that, but also not take advantage of it in a sense of that. I hope Orange Sky never takes for granted people showing up and giving their skills, and I think there's always more we can be doing in that space in a sense of finding really meaningful ways for people to contribute, but also making sure that we're respecting people's time, and whether that be the friend who's trusting us with their possessions or the volunteer or also the donor that's supporting us, is that they are making a huge contribution to Orange Sky, and we should never take that for granted, and should always find unique ways to interact with that community.
Are you looking to do, so you've got showers and laundry, are you looking broader? Are you thinking of other things like maybe overnight stays for people that are doing? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's something that we're always looking at Orange Skies, that we're an incredibly ambitious organisation, and we do have remarkable trust of our community. So we always talk about the most important things in our vans being the 6 orange chairs that people sit down on, and I've always sort of visualised these layers that sit over those orange chairs, and whether that be providing additional specific volunteering opportunities for maybe volunteers that help with a service like a resume or those sorts of things, but also where we do that best at the moment is actually providing a space where amazing organisations can come down. So at every location we operate, we work with a group like our old school food van, and we have hairdressers that come down and provide.
So that's what I was thinking. So you just work on relationships and partnerships with those who already provide the services, instead of you trying to take them all on, right?
Yeah, but then also looking at where we can have a big impact. So like I mentioned, we're sort of growing our services in New Zealand. And also in remote Indigenous communities is an area that we're actively sort of tripling our impact at the moment. So unfortunately, people out there in our own backyard don't have access to hygiene services, predominantly laundry machines, that actually lead to some incredibly scary things like rheumatic heart disease, trachoma and scabies. And we hope that Orange Sky can be a small part in helping First Nations communities have access to what we believe is a really basic human right. And sort of how we sort of shaped that is Lucas and the team sort of led a sort of activity around looking at, well, where do we want to be in 2025? So we know there's a lot of uncertainty in the world at the moment, and what that looks like in 2025 is that we want to help 40,000 people that year and do it twice as efficiently as how we're doing it now. So last financial year we helped nearly 14,000 people, and over the coming years we want to actively grow that, but also not do that by adding hundreds of more vans, but actually stretching how impactful our vans are, and then adding some services into those really special communities.
It's incredible. Wow. I've got so many questions.
I know, I know. It's
but
amazing.
Because you've mentioned already, like things like your family. So your family's involved in Orange Sky, because you said like your dad before. That's one question. Another one is, when I was on site doing some stuff with Orange Sky, you made that all-terrain four-wheel drive. So it was a totally different vehicle to meet.
Oh, this is so you can get into the remote parts.
Remote islands, and I think was it your dad actually drove that to far north Queensland or something? Was he headed to Thursday Island? Or?
That was going up to Lockhart River.
Lockhart River. Wow. So that's the whole concept of Orange Sky. This thing was like this big all-terrain vehicle that was kitted out with stuff in there, and I think you had fire hoses out that day blasting it, doing all these waterproof penetration tests and everything else like that, and it was literally like, come on, we've got to hit the road, and it was gone. But it's actually really, really amazing to see the operation there.
Where are you based?
So our team's based in Albion. So the sort of core team there do everything from build the vehicles to fundraise for the vehicles to operate the vehicles and really support the back office. And sort of how we position that is that team's responsibility is to do everything they can, so a volunteer can take a vehicle out and help people.
Yeah, right. But see, even other things like the analytics, because you're talking quoting numbers, right? So you've obviously got metrics and dashboards on all the IT side of it, where you're tracking those sorts of things and you know exactly what's going on. So there's like so many moving parts, a big shell game, right?
Yeah,
and a table tennis table too.
That's it. Yeah, and now lots of barking dogs. But I think it's like any organisation, another sort of passion point for Lucas and I is that just because Orange Sky is a not-for-profit doesn't mean that they should be lagging years behind. And I think there are lots of good excuses for that around funding and being able to attract certain talent. But I also think that that's actually holding people back from getting the world-class support that they need. So we've always prioritised trying to be the best in the field, or the best that we can be, rather than not. So we've taken things very seriously from day one around behind every number is a story, and behind every improvement we make is someone that we can help. And whether that be looking at the environmental impact that Orange Sky has, the social responsibility we have, the way we can leverage technology, or the way that we can raise revenue, all those things are constantly in the forefront. And have we got all of them right, and do we have any of them right? Probably not.
No, but it works.
Yeah, the idea to keep on trying is again one of our values.
Right.
Good on you, man.
So I've got to ask another question. The hairdo.
Yeah, you like it?
What's going on? There's a story behind it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've always hated mullets, and that's a judgment and stigma of myself, and I think it's something I've reflected a lot about, is that I have always attributed a type of haircut to someone's persona, and I think that that's a judgment which is actually something that we fight against at Orange Sky, is that our appearance is actually something that people judge us by.
Of course.
And, at Orange Sky, we actively try and change that through our physical appearance and laundry and showers. And, something that I challenged myself at the start of this year was to stretch that stereotype and stigma. And I think a lot of that is internal, in a sense of how you personally judge yourself, or how you assume other people are going to judge you, but also then the reality of how your appearance does provide judgment on other people. So,
and you're rocking some logos, or is it a triangle and a phallic symbol?
Yeah, that's actually so. On Friday, a part of being a part of a charity with your best friend is that we did a fundraiser, and Lucas cut my hair. So
right.
This hairdo is for Mullets for Mental Health with the Black Dog Institute, and
right.
the amazing work they do in starting conversations.
Yeah.
And, we thought I thought I'd auction off the top two sides for some. So the Horizon logo and a gecko. But Lucas's hairdresser skills aren't there, so might need a bit of a touch up pretty soon.
It's funny because you can't see it, right?
Yeah, it's good.
At least you get
I like this positioning.
Yeah, well, we've got a few different cameras.
Gotcha.
I'm sure we'll get it shown. If you just actually look over that way, we'll just capture it there. And so you're also doing a challenge at the moment, right? With your clothes. So explain that to us.
Yeah, so when we started Orange Sky, we took the van out.
So you and Lucas' first trip.
Yep.
That's pretty cool, right?
We went alongside our old school food van, had this van.
Yep.
And convinced this guy, Jordan, to wash his clothes. Jordan put his washing in the machine. We started it, and there was this massive bang. And we sort of looked to each other and we're like, shit, that's not too good. So called up the washing machine company, spoke to the angry laundry technician. They said we broke the machine, so we apologised to Jordan, went out, got some new washing machines, went back out the next morning, brand new washing machines. There was Jordan, who trusted us the previous morning, put Jordan's washing in the machine, started it, and there was a massive bang again.
Oh!
And we'd been added to that long list of people throughout Jordan's life that had let him down, and we sort of begged and pleaded for another set of expensive washing machines, convinced the boss to be on the board of this sort of unofficial charity that we were starting. Went back to the drawing board, made some changes to how we were applying the hardware in the van, and went out the third morning in a row, and again there was Jordan, and Jordan trusted us with his only possessions in his life, and we put him in the machine and everything started perfectly. And what we realised that morning is that what do we do now? The washing was almost our finish line for us, but we realised that once we got to that finish line of getting this stupid van to work, that it was actually not about washing clothes, it's about the chat that happened. So a couple of years ago we started the Sudsy Challenge, which is in honour of Sudsy, our first
Your first van was called Sudsy?
Yeah.
Is that the one in the office
it's
in the lobby?
Is it? That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to visit.
Yeah,
I'll have to visit, yeah.
Definitely, and you can take Sudsy for a drive one day.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been good for neutral.
Should back it in here.
We used to have a car show.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, back. That's where we started. We had a car show for many years, but doing Sudsy on neutral car show would have been awesome.
Well, that's amazing that Jordan, and it's really cool that you remember that first encounter.
Yeah,
that's so special for you guys to keep your passion.
For sure. And so the Sudsy Challenge is about wearing the same clothes for 3 days.
3 days in a row.
Starting as many conversations as possible about homelessness or whatever it may be. And also to be a fundraiser for Orange Sky. So this is the third year we've run the Sudsy Challenge, and we've just clicked over in weekend 3, which I'm participating in now, our previous year's target. So we've got a couple more weekends to go, and we see everything from schools fundraising through to teams and families, and it's a really special part of bringing people together, but also a reminder of how important our clothes and those conversations are, and even doing what I love doing outside of work. On the weekend, I had to really second guess about what was I going to put on Friday morning, so my clothes weren't a barrier to what we do, and thinking about rocking up to my partner's place for breakfast and going to the shops, and I had to go to the hospital on Friday, and all being in the same clothes and apologising for my appearance was something that unfortunately...
rock up like that and a mullet,
yeah.
right?
You've been apologising? No.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's something that naturally comes is that your appearance is something that is on your mind, and challenging that is something that personally need to always go on that journey, but as a society and as communities, I think it's something that unfortunately is holding us back, and an opportunity to for us to all grow and develop in that space is one that I know we've got a lot of work to do, but one I know that we're seeing some really cool stuff in as well.
Absolutely, and you can see it in the growth by people supporting your challenge, and like you said, you're 3 weeks in, you've already hit your last year's targets. It's fantastic.
Yeah, my son does the 3-week Sudgy challenge.
Everywhere.
Footy jersey or whatever he's wearing, his basketball jersey. Sometimes go, can you get something different on?
It's called school holidays, right?
yeah. So for the next 2 weeks, he's just going to be in the same gear. So he's already campaigning. We've just got to work to get his donations and pocket money redirected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No. That's amazing. Mate. So, and you were Young Australian of the Year at one stage too.
Yeah, we I think we just clicked off the invite list, so we must be nearly coming up to 5 years of that. So in 2016, Lucas and I were fortunate enough to be Young Australians of the Year, and one of those amazing opportunities to shine a spotlight to Orange Skies. So we started that year with about 3 vans and about 270 volunteers, and finished with about 11 vans and nearly 1,000 volunteers. So it really helped us accelerate our growth, and again, that wasn't because of Nic and Lucas, it was because people in Perth or in Tassie saying, hey, I want to put a van here, and I'm keen to run it. And amazing opportunity to see everyday extraordinary people doing amazing things, and that the awards do a great job at shining a spotlight on people that do good in the community. And just in 2016, I think that they had one spare trophy around, so they thought, let's just give it to 2 people. So
you had to split it.
No, we got 2 trophies. So,
you got 2 trophies. Well, the government upped the budget.
Yeah, that's it.
Make sure you
stretched another amazing trophy. So.
Yeah,
that's an amazing one.
So normally, I think when someone gets Australian of the Year, that person basically is on like a 12-month speaking tour. So were you in the same sort of position or was it just photo op young Australian of the Year, and you guys went back to what you were doing, or did you have opportunity to spend that year, raising the profile of what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Lex and I joked to each other that if we got that award, we'd do a gap year, and we did that, and that gap year for Lucas has, I think, turned into indefinite, not going back to uni, which
that's why he's not here today.
He's studying or something, I don't know. So I think we were able to speak to hundreds, if not thousands, of places about Orange Sky, and I think that was a real privilege to share that, because through sharing that story, hopefully Orange Sky was able to do more, and whether that be through growing vans or growing the awareness of homelessness was really special. And I think the awards process I was reflecting the other day, shine a light on a lot of important causes, but also the toll that takes on the people that are a part of that cause. Is that Lucas and I are fortunate, one, to do it together, and to do something so special alongside your best mate is remarkably was an absolute privilege. But then also the cause and our personal attachment to the cause, there is a lot of space in between, and I really admire the people that are championing for the cause, but also the causes directly being a part of their lives. I think is a really challenging and resilient position to be in. And luckily, I think Lucas and I weren't in that position. We were fiercely passionate about the cause and wanted to actively contribute, but the cause wasn't tied to our identity or our past experience.
Right. So, and with your family involvement, so what are they doing at Orange Sky? Is your mum out running vans and washing other people's clothes now, not yours, or how do they get involved?
Yeah,
and are they still involved today?
Yeah, all of our families are involved, and I think like any good project or any good family, that time of attachment comes and goes at different times, and at one point or another, every one of our family members has been a part of Orange Sky. Most recently, Lucas's mum actually started her own charity, which specifically helps women who are experiencing homelessness, called Four Voices. And Joe's involvement prior to that was actually running Orange Sky as our CEO. My mum was a part of Orange Sky's board, as was Lucas's mum, in the early days, and now they're not a part of that board anymore. But my mum still volunteers every Monday, and I can remember going out on that food van with my mum and meeting Harry. Back when I was a teenager, who was sleeping in that park, and I still get to catch up with Harry when I'm out on shifts at certain locations, and my mum still volunteers on that Monday where Harry goes. So it's a really cool opportunity for I was reflecting on this the other day, is that I can still remember when I was a teenager not wanting to go out on that food van, and this guy by the name of Harry asking me how my mum and my brother and my dad was, and Harry still does it every week now. Right. And knowing that he cares is something that is incredibly special to me, and I think that's sort of something that we try and always remind ourselves at Orange Sky, is promoting that notion that there are people out there that genuinely care, and the way that we deliver that is through provision of hygiene services and provision of listening ears and some hopefully good banter along the way.
Wow. Have you experienced people going from homelessness into a job and then coming back and volunteering in Orange Sky? Have you seen someone go full circle with your service?
Yeah, absolutely.
That must be so amazing to see.
And I think I'm still on a journey of what is homelessness, and we've got definitely people that have washed their clothes, got themselves back on their
feet and a bit of hope.
Yeah, and then gone and delivered that hope. We've also got the Sudsy Challenge, our proud supporter Horizon on my right hand side. We were at their offices last week, and one of their team members was participating in the Sudsy Challenge, and he shared a story which happened the night prior to him, that he was at the petrol station and he was filling up his car, and this guy came up to him and said, Orange Sky, it's so cool what you do. I was actually homeless in America, and he spoke about not knowing where to wash his clothes and where to have a shower. He met an Australian lady over in America. They married, they moved back to Australia.
Wow.
He's now got a job, they've got some kids, and he wanted to make a donation there and then at the service station, and I think it was a really special moment for that person to share that, but also that's happened to Lucas and I in the past, is that I can remember being up in the sunny coast, going in to pay for petrol, and the cashier saying that the person prior to you wanted to pay for your fuel to say thanks for washing their clothes, and
that's amazing.
We'll never meet that person, and their notion of homelessness might be different to what I might perceive it as, and I think that's the great thing, is that people come and go from Orange Sky on a daily basis, and I think that the reason that they come and where they came and where they left, there is no linear path, and I think that's really special, is that in Australia, the average time that someone is classified as homeless and the average time that they're living on the streets is 7 years, and whether that continuum be right, I hope that Orange Sky can be a positive impact over that 7 years, whether that be someone's first night on the street or someone returning to volunteer.
That's amazing.
Every day you must hear a story. Just all of these stories. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. So do you have downtime?
Yeah.
You take,
he's in the ted shed, mate. He's
it's downtime.
Well, these days
he's on the warmth of the fire.
Because it's amazing. Like I said, my kids see you in different places and stuff like that, and every time I've reached out, you're just responsive. We see you at City Hall with the van, so it's not like it's just always other people. You're so proactive. But what do you do in your downtime? Do you take 2 weeks off a year or 4 weeks off and go and do something?
Yeah, I think
sort of escape that, right? I mean, because you do so much great stuff, but mental health, and what about yourself? You can't be just for everyone else all the time, right?
Yeah, and I think there's probably a couple ways to view that. I think being immensely passionate about something, I think, is one of the greatest gifts one can have, and I think that sometimes comes across as busyness or chaos and those sorts of things, and I think at the time that I'm in my life right now, to be immensely passionate about something and to be able to lean into that, I'm incredibly grateful for, in a sense of that, we started Orange Sky when we were 20, and a good mentor says that you couldn't do, or you can't do anything significant in less than 10 years. So we're coming to the end of those 10 years. However, the opportunity to not have family or not have strong financial commitments, that we need to work specific jobs, to be at Orange Sky where every day I get that privilege of living out values that are really important to me. So personally, I love having fun. I love helping people. I love solving problems, and I get to do that every day at Orange Sky. But also, I think maybe one of the cheeky things about being a founder is that a lot of my personal values and a lot of things that are important to me in my life are at Orange Sky. So I think this notion of what a break looks like, or what my passions are, sometimes are a one-to-one correlation to the cause. But
so it's not a job. It's not a.
No.
It's not like something that you see and I need to have some time off. You just love what you're doing, so you can you do it tirelessly.
And I think I'm an incredibly curious person that likes making things. So what not working looks like is avid tinkering and avid making things. And I was even joking to this with some friends last night, as I can remember being a little kid in my granddad's workshop, and just listening to the sounds of like bolts and nuts and watching someone work. I'm an avid starer, and I'm just so curious at how things work. And last night we were with some friends having some great chats, but working on the tools till quite late. And someone joked, the neighbours might get angry at the sound we're making, and we were talking about that notion of, well, you are allowed to make sound if you're having a party. And for me, last night was a party. I was with my friends. I was doing what I love, and that wasn't maybe another form of what someone's party would be, but we were genuinely having a good time. So I think that notion of the intersect between work and life, but also what society says is a really interesting overlap that will continue to go on. So probably a really long way to say that it's probably not defined in what it is, but I think coming back to some really grounding principles is the way I approach it.
Yeah, right.
We've had some late parties in here, construction parties till 11.
Yeah.
We're like going, do you think we should still be grinding that or cutting this? And it's like, whatever. That's all right. When we first started this, we built in here. Was it like basically in the space of a day? We went from, this was an empty shed.
So cool.
We framed up, and by the end of that night, we'd just been out all day. I don't even think we stopped for lunch or anything. We're just working. And next thing it's like,
but that was fun.
It's almost midnight.
Yeah.
So I guess when you're doing something and you're involved in your passion, like time goes, you're just having fun. And that's just been a 7-year journey for you.
And I think just wrapping it in some principles that you learn and grow and evolve on. It's probably all well and good to work till late, but then coming back to those principles around, are we respecting other people? Is it safe? Are we having fun? Those sorts of things. And I've definitely worked till late and not had fun, and it's about checking yourself on that. Or I always loved playing the video of us building the first van, and Lucas in thongs, and I'm like cutting something. I'm pretty sure I've got my hands over my ears or something like that. And we take health and safety incredibly serious at Orange Sky, but.
So when your workers are at the back, you go and cover the
that's it.
Responsibility.
It's a big chain now. But even yesterday on working with my friends on the tools, like the level of safety that I now have. Someone jokes like it's un-Australian to wear PPE on the weekend, and it was a good conversation starter because a fact that I learned around workplace health and safety injuries is that the majority of the time it's when we're not in those very controlled environments that are set up to protect us. And I think that those translations of things that are proven to keep you safe shouldn't just be switched off because it's on the weekend or your own shed. And I think that there's definitely levels of sophistication and maturity that should adapt to a fit for purpose environment, but it's one that like I'm constantly fascinated at. Is how you adapt, but also come back to those things that are proven to work.
So you're not wearing your steel cap thongs on a weekend then, right? On a construction site, you're still...
Yeah, it's not reinventing.
That's probably it's like that, right? People go to work, steel cap boots, and then they'll go home and do a similar task, building something, doing something, and they've got thongs on.
Yeah.
But there's a stigma, like I'm a tradie,
yeah,
and there's a stigma around that on a job site, especially when I was a young apprentice. What do you got the bloody safety glasses on for, mate? You don't need those.
Yeah.
You know, because the older blokes, you want to be tough. You know, there was and I think that stigma still is around PPE to a certain degree in some industries.
It's all fun and games until you get some, some fragments from grinding in your eye.
Yeah, but it's...
I mean, look at me. I've got some busted fingers at the moment, which is perfect for an IT guy on my right hand and typing. That was a sport injury, but my finger. They're taped back to try and straighten it because they're claws at the moment. But like anything is simple, like you rely on it, and I think some people on weekends up cleaning roofs.
Definitely. Mate, people fall off roofs. Like I'm a painter by trade, so and the things we have to do on job sites compared to what the DIY guy has to do on the weekend when he's painting his own house, massively different.
Yeah. But even when the storms came through, someone fell off their roof.
Yeah, they did. They got up on their newly painted roof they had done 3 weeks ago when we got hit by the storms in October last year, and he fell off a 2-story roof. Yeah. But it is hard. It is hard. But I guess there is a stigma around that, and especially in job sites. And I know there's a lot of suicide rate in construction with young kids that get apprenticeships, and they get an old bastard tradesman who just rides them so freaking hard, and they end up taking their own life. I know one case personally, and it's terrible. But that's a stigma that needs to change in people. You know what I mean?
So, but you'd have that as a big compliance. I mean, obviously, when you started out with Lucas going in the van, what I mean, hey, I'm still interested to know how the fridges went. The washing machines went bang.
Yeah.
Because in my mind,
because the electronics were terrible.
Well, I just go, fridge in the back of a van with an electrical lead and a water outlet. That's no different to just sticking it in your laundry. So. I'm assuming that it was a fridge. I'm thinking of fridges. Maybe fridges is
cracking.
Yeah, those things are always going. I'm sorry, the washing machines. Was it actually something you were doing? Like, was it bouncing around in the van, going to the side and stuff? Because they're just not designed for that, or
I reckon it was Lucas's bad driving, but I can say that because he's not here.
Speed bump. The washing machine shouldn't be hitting the roof, right?
Yeah, a couple of things, like we weren't converting the power correctly, so our generator was putting out the wrong frequency of power.
Right, okay. So you weren't electrical lead into a source, you were taking your own. Okay.
We didn't have the shipping bolts in, so every bump or knock Sudsy went over was cutting wires and displacing things, so some clamps in there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because the front loaders?
Yeah, and then like a brand new 30-metre hose reel that's got high pressure attached to it with a massive airlock in it. A solenoid valve opens up and there's a lot of air blowing in different areas.
So you've learned a few things.
Yeah, couple little things, but
so that's interesting, right? Because like I said, conceptually, my mind went to, if you go and buy this appliance and put it in at home, right? You just plug it into power and you plug it into water and a drain.
Yeah.
Do that in the back of a van, and all you need is those 3 things, right?
Yeah.
And as you learnt, obviously not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is now just the complexity of that is, on a different scale. So, when you put 3 dryers and 3 washers in a vehicle, you're drawing nearly 12.8 kilowatts of power.
Wow.
So we have 15 kVA generators on board. And,
in the van?
Yeah, and now we're actually trying to look at how do we, and we've just prototyped vehicles that are running purely on solar power, and to actually generate that much electricity on a small footprint and make it easy for volunteers to operate are the challenges that get me out of bed every day. Is how do we provide a really sustainable service that is fit for purpose for the communities that we're operating in.
Because that's a big misconception from people about things like solar. When they say a car, right? I've got a hybrid car. Why aren't they just doing the roof as a solar panel? And you turn around and go, well, because the consumption of electricity for that vehicle
what you make
far outweighs what that panel's going to do.
So you got batteries on board, and
now some of the newer vehicles we're testing are definitely going down
the battery line.
Yeah.
What would it cost, Nick, to set up a car?
So we raised 100 grand or 150 grand to build one of our vehicles at the moment.
Wow.
And that's also something that we're actively looking at is that that is fit for purpose for some communities, but then a community like Rocky or Toowoomba at the moment doesn't have an Orange Sky service, and I think or I know an asset of that value is not really, or is it's hard to justify for potentially the impact that it will have. However, that impact is needed and is really profound. So if we can actually have, we launched a period of time ago laundry pods that don't have an engine, and it's not even, it's about a third of that cost or even less to have one of those pods in the communities, and we're trialling that in Mackay. So I think that that's where Orange Sky needs to keep on playing is, we might have a fit-for-purpose 6-wheel vehicle that is incredibly sophisticated, that catches rainwater and heats water and is looking at active disease prevention, and then there might be something that in a community we visited before lockdown, a lady had her washing there, and I've rocked up, keen person to do some washing, and I went to put this lady's washing in, and everyone looked at me, and I was like, oh, is everything okay? And they were like, oh, you don't need to wash that. And I was a bit confused, and I was sort of just laid back, and I was like, but she brought the washing down. But for this lady, that was just her ticket to come.
Right.
And, she didn't need that washing done. However, what she needed was a community of people to connect with. And, again, another reminder to me that Orange Sky isn't about that load of washing. It's about, giving people an excuse to come together.
Yeah. All right, I think we're pretty much close. Let me just do a quick time check. Yeah, we can start to wrap up. Thanks for coming out, mate.
Yeah, pleasure. Congratulations for what you both have done. Mate.
Yeah, thank you. No, there's a shirt for you, mate.
Thank you.
So, when you need to change your clothes and a fresh t-shirt,
tomorrow morning, I'd say. So.
There's a Ted Shed shirt for you to get into, mate. But look, we wanted to have you in. I spoke to Glenn and just said, a real inspiration. Following your story along, and it's pretty amazing. So, and thanks for making the time to come and chat to a couple of bullfeds in the shed.
Nice.
And well done, man. Nick and Lucas, really well done, and congratulations on your journey so far. And the work you're doing in the community is amazing.
We'll make it. Have to make a trip and go.
We will.
And have a visit,
please.
Ted Shed on the road.
Ted Shed on the road.
Well, we've talked about that over time. We're trying to develop our product and go, look, we don't want to diversify too much, right? And we're lazy because, I said, we had a car show in the past. You talk about cameraman production stuff and shooting a show. We were all over the place travelling and a lot of production. Now we just chuck a couple of cameras in here, roll, sync it all up, and then just do a multi-camera edit, right? So we're getting lazy, but we talk about eventually
like a washing machine there, and then the guests can bring their clothes in.
Bring that in. One quick question I've had.
Oh yeah.
Has a uni student ever thought, look, I'm going to try and game this system and just rock up and bring their washing and just go, listen, and then they found an avenue to get their washing done?
Yeah, it's
do people take advantage like that? Or?
Well, I don't know about take advantage. I think people come to Orange Sky for lots of different reasons. One of our volunteers in Melbourne, he volunteers with us under somewhat of the directive of his parents, and what that directive is that his parents were visiting from overseas, and they were staying at a hotel, and they asked the hotel where they could get their washing done, and the concierge said just walk down the street, turn left, and then turn right. So they had their washing, they walked down the street, they turned left and they turned right, and there was an Orange Sky van. They started doing their washing, they sat down, had a chat, and then they went to finish, and they said, so how do we pay you? And the team said, no, this is free laundry, we're all about thing. And they felt absolutely mortified because they didn't realise that Orange Sky was a free service. And we could frame that person taking advantage of saving whatever it costed to do it, but I think what it's a reminder of is that we all do laundry, we all pay for it at different lots. Some of us might do it in a really expensive machine, some of us might use lots of soap, some of us might do it for free, but I think actually what brings that people together for that at Orange Sky is that social license of community connection, and whether it be that lady who has brought her washing down and never washed it, or those parents that potentially stole $16 from Orange Sky for the load of washing.
They might have ended up. And look, I just would have thought that's strange because, like, socially for me would have just felt like a real strange thing. Like maybe I don't know where they were from, but turning around and going, oh look, the laundromat's in a van in a park here. I've never seen that before. Like, like alarm bells would be going off for me going, this doesn't seem like a legitimate laundromat, or, where hotel guests would go to get their washing done. But anyway, all right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks very much for coming in.
Nick.
It's a pleasure. To see you again, and thanks for joining us here in the Ted Shed.
Yeah,
thank you.
All right, cheers.
Do I just walk out of the bar, or?
No, you stay here. We'll wrap it there, and I hope you join us next time. All right, thanks for joining us here on the Ted Shed. Nick, it was a real pleasure having you in, mate. If you want to support Orange Sky, go to orangesky.org. Check out all the information about the fantastic work that these guys do. Nick, what should our viewers do now?
Make sure you subscribe and share the story of the Ted Shed.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Cheers.